Dr. Handay rubbed his tired eyes and stared at the computer screen again. The clock on the wall showed 3:15 a.m., but he couldn't leave, not with these strange readings appearing on his monitors. The Dajan Observatory was quiet at this hour, just the way he liked it. Only the soft hum of computers and the occasional beep from his instruments broke the silence. "This can't be right," he muttered, reaching for his fourth cup of coffee. The quantum energy patterns he was seeing didn't match anything in their database. They were too regular, too precise to be natural. The door opened behind him, and Dr. Kim Soo walked in, carrying 2 fresh cups of coffee. She stopped when she saw the readings on his screen. "You're still looking at those weird signals?" she asked, setting 1 cup beside him. "I told you it's probably just equipment failure." Handay shook his head. "Look at this pattern," he said, pointing to the screen. "It repeats every 47 seconds. Exactly. Nature doesn't work like that. Someone is sending this." Kim Soo leaned closer, her skepticism fading as she studied the data. "But from where? We're monitoring empty space." "Not empty anymore." Handay pulled up another screen showing a different set of readings. "These energy signatures are moving. Whatever's causing them is getting closer to Earth." Just then, all their computers started beeping at once. New data flooded their screens. The energy signatures had suddenly grown 10 times stronger. "Call the director," Handay said quickly. "Wake him up if you have to. This is too important to wait until morning." As Kim Soo reached for the phone, their main screen flickered and went black. Then strange symbols began appearing, symbols that looked like no language on Earth. But as they watched, the symbols began changing, transforming into different writing systems. Chinese, Russian, English, Korean, and dozens more. "It's a translation matrix," Handay whispered, his eyes wide. "They're learning our languages in real time." The symbols finally settled into clear Korean text. "Greetings, Earth. We are EKHENEXUS Empire." For several minutes, both scientists stood in silence, staring at the message. Their coffee grew cold, forgotten on the desk. Should we answer?" Kim Soo asked quietly. Handay's fingers hovered over his keyboard. "We need to be careful, very careful." He started typing. "This is Dr. Handay at the Dajan Observatory, South Korea, Earth. We receive your message." The response came instantly. "Your civilization has been chosen for integration into THENEXUS Empire. Prepare for PRELINASCSS. Handay's hands began to shake. Integration. What does that mean? Before Kim Soo could answer, their instruments detected massive energy spikes in orbit around Earth. Through the observatory's main telescope, they saw something impossible. A giant ship appearing out of nowhere, bigger than any city they had ever seen. The computer beeped again with a new message. "Formal CONTACT will begin in 24 Earth hours. Prepare your leaders." Handay grabbed his phone and dialed an emergency number he'd hoped he'd never have to use. When someone answered, he spoke quickly. "This is Dr. Handay, authorization code Delta 79. We have a first contact situation. I repeat, first contact. This is not a drill." As he spoke, more ships appeared in orbit, their massive shapes blocking out the stars. Earth's first contact with alien life wasn't going to be the joyful scientific exchange he'd always dreamed about. Something in the Empire's messages felt wrong, less like a greeting and more like a warning. Kim Soo put her hand on his shoulder. "What do we do now?" Handay took a deep breath. Now we warn everyone. Because I don't think the Empire is here to make friends." He looked at the ships through the telescope one more time. "They're here to take over, and we need to be ready." The night sky, usually peaceful and full of stars, now looked threatening. Somewhere up there, an alien empire was preparing to change Earth forever. but they didn't know what humanity was capable of. Not yet. Li Jin wasn't supposed to be at this UN meeting. As a junior diplomat, she usually handled paperwork and minor trade discussions. But today was different. Every diplomat, minister, and world leader who could make it to New York sat in the General Assembly Hall, all eyes fixed on the massive screen above them. The Nexus Empire's message was about to begin. Transmission starting in 1 minute, a technician announced. Li Jin noticed something odd about the room. Despite having over 200 people, it was completely silent. Nobody whispered. Nobody checked their phones. They just waited. The screen lit up, and a figure appeared. It looked almost human, but not quite. Its skin was pale blue, and its eyes were too large. When it spoke, its voice came through in perfect Korean, English, and every other Earth language at once. "People of Earth," the alien said, "I am High Ambassador Callum of the Nexus Empire. We bring you a great honor. Your world has been chosen for integration into our grand civilization." Li Jin frowned. While others around her smiled at the peaceful words, she noticed something in the way the ambassador moved, something in his tone that felt wrong. "The integration process is simple," Calm continued. "We will share our advanced technology. We will cure your diseases. We will end your wars. All we ask is that you accept our guidance and leadership." Li Jin started taking notes. The ambassador used the word integration 7 times, but he never once said the word choice or freedom. Then she saw it. Behind the ambassador, on the wall of his ship, was a display showing other planets. She recognized the symbols from her studies of the Empire's first messages. These were dates of other integrations. What she saw made her blood run cold. Each planet had 2 dates. The first must have been when they were contacted. The second was when they were taken over. The time between the dates got shorter and shorter with each planet. The most recent planet had only 3 days between its dates. Li Jin raised her hand, something junior diplomats never did in full assembly. But this was too important. "Yes, Earth representative," Calm asked, his big eyes focusing on her. "Thank you for your generous offer," she said, keeping her voice steady. "Could you tell us more about these other integrations? The ones shown behind you?" For just a second, the ambassador's smile slipped. The display behind him quickly went dark. "Those are celebrations," he said smoothly. "Days when other worlds joined our family." "Of course," Li Jin said. "And how many worlds chose not to join?" The room got even quieter, if that was possible. Calm's smile stayed fixed, but his eyes narrowed slightly. There were misunderstandings in the past, but all worlds eventually saw the benefits of integration. After the transmission ended, Li Jin rushed to find Dr. Han Dai and Dr. Kim Soo, who were waiting in a nearby office. They had been brought to the UN as Earth's first contacts with the Empire. "Did you see it?" she asked them. "The display?" Han Dai nodded grimly. "We did, and we found something else in their transmission. Hidden code in the signal." Kim Soo turned her computer screen around. It showed a string of numbers and symbols. They embedded this in their message. "It's a threat hidden right in their peaceful greeting." "What kind of threat?" Li Jin asked. "Military coordinates," Han Dai explained. "The positions of their warships. They're not just in Earth orbit anymore. They're surrounding our entire solar system." Li Jin sat down heavily. Those planets on the display, none of them had more than a week between first contact and conquest, Kim Soo finished. "But Earth is different. We have something they don't know about." "What's that?" Li Jin asked. Han Dai smiled for the first time that day. "Us. Our quantum research. The Empire thinks they're dealing with a simple, primitive world. But thanks to our work, we can see their ships. We can decode their hidden messages. We know what they're really planning." "So what do we do?" Li Jin looked between the 2 scientists. "We prepare," Han Dai said firmly. "They gave us their coordinates to scare us. but they just made their first mistake. Now we know exactly where they are. Outside the UN building, people walked and talked like it was any normal day. They didn't know that in this room, 3 people were planning Earth's defense against an empire that had never failed to conquer a world. The empire thought they were being clever with their hidden threats, but they didn't realize that Earth had already begun to fight back. Deep beneath the Korean DMZ, in a secret lab that didn't officially exist, Park Yun stared at his computer screen with wide eyes. He had been studying Earth's magnetic field for 15 years, but he had never seen anything like this. "Run the test again," he told his assistant. "I need to be sure." The assistant nodded and pressed the button. They watched as the Empire's scan beam hit Earth's magnetic field. Just like before, something strange happened. The beam scattered, showing false readings. Park Yun grabbed his phone and called Dr. Han Da. "I found something," he said when Han Da answered. "You need to see this right now." An hour later, Han Da and Kim Soo stood in Park Yun's underground lab, watching the test results. "Show them," Park Yun told his assistant. On the big screen, they could see the Empire's scan beam trying to read Earth's defenses, but the magnetic field twisted the results, making Earth's military bases look like empty fields. Weapons looked like farming equipment. Soldiers appeared as civilians. "Our planet is hiding us," Park Yun explained. "Earth's magnetic field isn't just protecting us from solar radiation. It's scrambling the Empire's scans. That's why they haven't attacked yet," Kim Soo said quietly. "They can't see what they're up against." Han Da walked closer to the screen. "How long have they been scanning us?" "According to our instruments, since before they showed themselves," Park Yun answered. "They've been trying to map our defenses for weeks, but they're getting wrong information every time." Just then, Li Jin rushed into the lab. She held a tablet showing new messages from the Empire. "They're getting frustrated," she said. "Look at these demands. They want us to lower our magnetic field strength. They're calling it a safety measure for integration." Han Da laughed. "They don't know. They think we're controlling the magnetic field." "We can use this," Park Yun said. "We can make them think we're stronger than we are." He pressed some buttons, and new images appeared on the screen. They showed Earth's military bases as they really were, and how the Empire was seeing them. "Every time they scan us, they see something different," he explained. "Sometimes they see nothing at all. Other times they see huge energy readings that make no sense to them. They can't plan an attack because they don't know what they're attacking." Kim Soo sat down at a computer and started typing. "We can make it even better," she said. "If we understand how their scans work, we can feed them false data on purpose." "How?" Li Jin asked. "The quantum technology we've been working on," Han Da answered, getting excited. "We can use it to amplify the magnetic field's natural effect. Make them see exactly what we want them to see." Park Yun pulled up more data on the screen. "Look at their scan patterns. They're focusing on military targets, trying to find our weapons. But they can't see that our biggest weapon is Earth itself. We need to tell the world leaders," Li Jin said. "But carefully. If this gets out, the Empire might realize what's happening." Han Da finished. "We need to keep this secret. Let them think we're just a primitive planet that somehow blocks their scans." They worked through the night, studying the Empire's scans and planning how to use Earth's natural defense to their advantage. Every new test showed the same thing. Earth's magnetic field was their shield, their secret weapon that the Empire didn't understand. Outside the lab, the sun rose over the DMZ. North and South Korean soldiers stood guard as usual, not knowing that deep beneath their feet, 4 people had discovered humanity's best chance against the Empire. "You know what this means," Park Yun said, as they finished their work. "Earth chose to protect us long before we knew we needed protection. Our planet has been preparing for this moment for millions of years." For the first time since the Empire appeared, they all smiled. They had found hope in the most unexpected place, in the very heart of Earth itself. General Choi I stood in front of the largest gathering of military leaders in human history. The underground bunker in Geneva was packed with generals, admirals, and commanders from every nation on Earth. Even countries that were usually enemies sat side by side today. The Empire gave us 5 days to accept their integration offer, he said, his voice firm. That means we have 5 days to prepare our defense. On the huge screen behind him, Dr. Hand's face appeared through a video call. Thanks to Park Yun's discovery, we know the Empire can't see our true strength, but we need to work together to use this advantage. A Russian general raised his hand. How can we trust each other? Some countries here were enemies last week. Because we don't have a choice, Li Jin answered from her seat near the front. The Empire doesn't care about our borders or our old fights. They want all of Earth. Kim Soo appeared on the screen next to Handa. We've been studying their technology. Their ships use something like our quantum science, but more advanced. However, she smiled. They don't know we understand it. The room got quiet. Everyone knew what she meant. Earth wasn't as primitive as the Empire thought. Here's our plan, General Choi said, pressing a button. A map appeared, showing Earth and the Empire's ships. Thanks to Earth's magnetic field, they can't see what we're doing on the ground. We'll use this to hide our preparations. Han Dae took over. We've found a way to use our quantum research to disrupt their faster-than-light travel. If they can't use their fast ships, they can't bring their whole fleet here quickly. But won't they notice if we start building new weapons? An American admiral asked. Park Yun stepped forward. He had dark circles under his eyes from working long hours, but his voice was strong. That's the clever part. We're not building new weapons. We're changing their scan readings of our old ones. He showed them a test result. A simple radar station appeared as a powerful energy weapon in the Empire's scans. A regular satellite looked like an advanced defense platform. Every time they scan us, they'll see something different, Park Yun explained. They won't know what's real and what's fake. General Choi pointed to different spots on the map. We'll place our real defenses here, here, and here, but the Empire will see strong weapons everywhere they look. They won't know where to attack first. A Chinese general nodded slowly. A wall of lies to hide our truth. Very clever. Not lies, Li Jin corrected. Strategy. We're using their own arrogance against them. They think we're too primitive to fool them. The room filled with quiet talk as military leaders discussed the plan with their neighbors. Old enemies shared ideas. Former rivals made plans together. One more thing, Han Dae said from the screen. Kim Soo and I have almost finished our quantum disruption device. When it's ready, we can stop their ships from running away. They'll have to face us in a fair fight. General Choi looked around the room. This will only work if we all work together. Every country, every military, every person. The Empire expects us to be divided. Let's show them how united humanity can be. One by one, the leaders stood up. They had all seen what happened to other planets that faced the Empire alone. Earth would not make the same mistake. 5 days, General Choi said. In 5 days, we either stand together or we fall together. But whatever happens, we show the Empire that Earth is not an easy target. As the meeting ended, Li Jin watched the military leaders leaguing together, talking and planning. Just a week ago, some of these countries had been close to war with each other. Now they walked out as allies, united against a common enemy. The Empire thought they were forcing Earth to change, but they didn't realize their threat had created something new. A human race that finally put aside its differences to protect its home. Commander Kang Mai stood at the control center of Moon Base Alpha, watching the Empire's ships approach. Her hands were steady as she checked the new quantum weapons that Dr. Han Dae and Dr. Kim Soo had installed just 2 days ago. Enemy ships entering lunar orbit, her assistant reported. 15 vessels, mostly scout class. Kang Mai nodded. The Empire thought they were being clever, sending a small force to take the moon base. They still believed Earth only had simple weapons and weak defenses. They were about to learn how wrong they were. "All stations report ready," another officer said. "Quantum disruptors are charged." Through the base's windows, Kang Mei could see the Empire ships getting closer. They were beautiful in a scary way, their blue metal hulls shining in the sunlight. But she knew what they really were, the first wave of an invasion. Her radio crackled. "Commander, this is Dr. Han Da. The weapons are ready. Remember, they can only fire 3 times before needing to recharge. 3 shots will be enough," Kang Mai said calmly. She pressed the base-wide communication button. "All personnel, prepare for combat. This is not a drill." The Empire ships moved into attack position. They probably expected the moon base to surrender as soon as they showed their power. Instead, Kang Mei gave them a surprise. "Activate quantum shield," she ordered. A shimmer appeared around the base, like heat waves on a hot day. The Empire ships suddenly stopped moving. Their scans would be showing them something impossible, energy readings that their science said couldn't exist. "They're sending a message," her communication officer said. "They're ordering us to shut down our primitive defense attempts and prepare for integration." Kang Mei smiled. "Send them our answer. All weapons, fire." The quantum disruptors fired at the same time. They didn't shoot normal beams or missiles. Instead, they sent waves of energy that Dr. Han and Dr. Kim had discovered. These waves disrupted the Empire ship's quantum engines. The result was instant. 7 Empire ships lost power and started drifting in space. Their fancy technology, which they thought made them unbeatable, was now useless. "Second wave, fire," Kang Mai ordered. More quantum waves hit the Empire fleet. This time, 5 ships simply disappeared. The quantum disruption had affected their space-time drives, sending them who knew where. The remaining 3 ships tried to run away, but Kang Mai had planned for this. Final wave, fire. The last quantum blast caught 2 more ships. The final ship managed to escape, jumping away faster than light. But that was part of the plan too. They wanted one ship to escape and tell the Empire what happened. "Enemy ships neutralized," her tactical officer reported. 12 ships disabled or missing. 1 escape confirmed. Kang Mei picked up her radio. "Dr. Han, Dr. Kim, your weapons worked perfectly." "Better than we hoped," Han Da's voice came back. "The Empire just learned that their technology isn't as superior as they thought." In the next hour, Moonbase Alpha's rescue ships picked up the crew from the disabled Empire vessels. The alien soldiers were shocked to find themselves treated well, given food and medical care. "Why are you helping us?" one of them asked Kang Mai. "We came to conquer you." "Because that's what humans do," she answered. "We fight when we have to, but we help when we can. Remember that when you report back to your empire." Later, in her office, Kang Mai sent her report to Earth's United Command. It was a short message. First battle successful. Empire fleet defeated. Quantum weapons proved effective. Earth's defense capabilities confirmed. Looking out at the stars, she thought about what this victory meant. The Empire had made a big mistake. They thought Earth would be an easy target, like all the other worlds they had conquered. Instead, they had just learned that humanity was ready to fight back. And now they knew that Earth had weapons that could beat their best technology. The real war hadn't started yet, but Earth had won its first battle, and the Empire would never look at humans the same way again. 3 days after the moon battle, Commander Kang Mai stood in the UN building with Earth's other leaders. They were about to send their response to the Empire. But this wasn't going to be just words. They had something much better planned. "The quantum transmission is ready," Dr. Han Dae said, checking his equipment one last time. "Are you ready, Commander?" Kang Mei nodded. As the hero of the moon battle, she had been chosen to deliver Earth's message. She looked at the camera, knowing that the Empire's leaders would soon see this. Recording starts in 3, 2, 1. Dr. Kim Soo counted down. Kang Mai began speaking, her voice clear and strong. To the Nexus Empire, I am Commander Kang Mai of Earth's United Forces. You know me as the one who defeated your scout fleet at Moon Base Alpha. She paused, letting that sink in. Behind her, giant screens showed the quantum technology that Earth had developed. The same technology that had beaten the Empire's ships. You came to Earth thinking we were primitive, she continued. You thought we would be easy to conquer, like the other worlds you've taken. You were wrong. Dr. Han Da pressed some buttons, and the transmission began sending data, complex quantum equations and technical details that showed exactly how Earth had developed its defensive technology. This is not a surrender message, Kang Mai said. This is not a plea for mercy. This is a warning. Li Jin, standing off camera, smiled. They had practiced this speech carefully. Every word was chosen to show the Empire that Earth wasn't afraid. We understand your quantum technology, Kang Mai continued. We can disrupt your faster-than-light travel. We can stop your most powerful ships. And thanks to Earth's magnetic field, you can't even see most of our defenses. The screens behind her showed the battle at Moon Base Alpha. The Empire ships losing power, their mighty technology failing against Earth's quantum weapons. But we don't want war, she said, her tone softening slightly. We don't want to fight. Unlike you, we believe different civilizations can exist without one ruling the other. Park Yun activated another display, showing how Earth's magnetic field confused the Empire's scans. It was a clear message. They knew about the Empire's secret scanning attempts and had beaten them. So here is our offer, Kang Mai said. Leave Earth alone. Accept that we are not yours to conquer. Do this, and we can have peace. We can trade. We can share knowledge as equals. She stood straighter, her voice getting firmer. But if you choose to fight, remember what happened at Moon Base Alpha. That was just one base, with only 3 shots from our quantum weapons. Imagine what all of Earth can do. Dr. Kim Soo added the final part of the transmission. Detailed scans of the captured Empire ships, showing how Earth had already started to improve on their technology. You have 1 Earth day to respond, Kang Mai finished. Choose carefully. This is the only warning you will get. The recording stopped. Everyone in the room was quiet, thinking about what they had just done. No other world had ever stood up to the Empire like this. Message sent, Dr. Han Da reported. They're receiving it now. Li Jin checked her tablet. Their ships are moving. They're pulling back from Earth orbit. They'll need time to think, General Choi Won said. He had been watching silently from the corner. This isn't something they've faced before. Kang Mai looked out the window at the peaceful Earth below. We've shown them our strength, she said. But we've also shown them we're reasonable. Now we wait to see if they're wise enough to listen. The next 24 hours would decide everything. Either the Empire would accept that Earth wasn't a planet they could simply take, or they would learn the hard way that humanity's warning wasn't empty words. The whole world held its breath, waiting for the Empire's response. But for the first time since the aliens appeared, Earth wasn't afraid. They had shown the Empire that humans weren't primitive or weak. Now it was the Empire's turn to decide what happened next. In the main chamber of the Empire's flagship, the War Council was in chaos. High Admiral Rek, the Empire's military leader, watched Earth's message for the 5th time. His blue skin had turned almost white with anger. Impossible, he shouted, slamming his hand on the table. How did these primitives develop quantum technology? They barely have space travel. Next to him, Science Minister Tala studied the technical data Earth had sent. Unlike the Admiral, she looked excited rather than angry. Look at these equations, she said, pointing to the screen. They're not just using our quantum science. They've found new ways to use it, ways we never thought of. The council room was filled with the Empire's highest leaders. Some wanted to attack Earth immediately. Others weren't so sure. They destroyed half our scout fleet, another admiral said quietly. And now we know why our scans kept failing. Their planet's magnetic field protects them naturally. High Admiral Rek paced around the room. We can't let them challenge us like this. No world has ever dared to stand against the Empire. Perhaps that's why they can. Minister Tala said. She played Commander Kang Mi's message again. Look at how they handled our captured soldiers. They could have hurt them. Instead, they gave them medical care. Weakness, Rek snapped. Wisdom, Tala corrected. They're showing us they can be either peaceful or dangerous. They're letting us choose which they'll be. A younger council member raised his hand. What about the other worlds we integrated? They didn't have Earth's advantages. The room got quiet. Everyone knew what he meant. The Empire had always chosen easy targets before, worlds that couldn't fight back. Earth was different. Their quantum disruption technology is remarkable, Minister Tala said, still studying the data. They took our most advanced ships and turned them off like simple lights. High Admiral Rek stopped pacing. We could send the main fleet, overwhelm them with numbers, and risk losing more ships. Another council member asked, what if they have more weapons we don't know about? Their magnetic field is still hiding most of their planet from our scans. Minister Tala stood up. She was the youngest person on the council, but right now she seemed the wisest. We have two choices, she said. We can fight a war against an enemy we can't properly see, who can disable our best technology, and who might have more surprises waiting for us. She paused, letting that sink in. Or we can do something the Empire has never done before. We can admit we found a civilization as advanced as our own, just in different ways. We can accept their offer of peaceful trade and knowledge sharing. High Admiral Rek laughed, but it sounded hollow. The Empire doesn't make deals. We conquer. And that's exactly why we should consider this, Hala said firmly. Every world we've conquered was weaker than us. But Earth can fight back. They've proved it. And they're offering us a chance to be allies instead of enemies. The Council talked for hours. They watched Earth's message many more times. They studied the quantum data, the battle records, the scans that showed how Earth's magnetic field protected it. Finally, even High Admiral Rek had to admit the truth. Fighting Earth would be different from any war they'd fought before, and they might lose. We have 6 hours left to respond, Minister Tala reminded them. Earth gave us 1 day. They're watching to see what kind of civilization we really are. The council members looked at each other. For the first time in the Empire's history, they had to make a choice that wasn't about conquest. Earth had changed everything. They had shown the Empire that being advanced didn't always mean having the biggest ships or the most powerful weapons. Sometimes it meant being smart enough to offer peace first, while being strong enough to fight if you had to. Now the Empire had to decide what was more important, their pride or their future. The meeting room on the neutral space station hung between Earth and the Empire's fleet. Dr. Han Dai and Li Jin sat on one side of the table, while Minister Tala and another Empire official sat on the other side. Before we begin, Minister Tala said, there's something we need to ask. How long have you been watching us? Li Jin smiled. She had been waiting for this question. Show them, she said to Han Da. Han Da pressed a button on his tablet. The room's screens lit up with hundreds of decoded Empire messages. They were communications the Empire thought were secret. We've been reading your messages for months, he said. Ever since our quantum observatory detected your first ships entering our solar system. Minister Tala's eyes widened. That's impossible. Our codes are unbreakable. Not to us, Han Dai said kindly. You see, while you were scanning Earth for weapons, we were studying your technology. Every message you sent taught us more about how your systems work. The other Empire official, a military commander named Vex, leaned forward. Is that how you developed the quantum disruptor so quickly? Li Jin shook her head. No, we already understood quantum science. Your messages just helped us learn how to use it against your ships. You're saying you developed quantum technology on your own. Minister Tala asked. She sounded both shocked and impressed. Earth's scientists have been studying quantum physics for many years, Handad explained. We just took a different path than the Empire did. You focused on space travel. We focused on understanding the basic rules of quantum science. He showed them more data on the screens. It was Earth's quantum research from the past 20 years. The Empire officials stared at it with growing respect. This is why we came to talk, Minister Tala said after a while. Your message showed us something we didn't expect. You're not primitive at all. You're just different. That's right, Li Jin said. Humans might not have as many spaceships as you do, but we understand things you don't. Like how Earth's magnetic field works, or how to use quantum energy in new ways. Commander Vex had been quiet, but now he spoke up. You could have kept your abilities secret. Let us think you were weak. Why show us everything? Because we want peace, Handai said simply. But real peace only works when both sides respect each other. We needed you to understand that Earth isn't an easy target. We're a civilization that deserves to be treated as equals. Minister Tala nodded slowly. The Empire has never met anyone like you before. All the other worlds we found were either too advanced for us to challenge, or too primitive to resist us. You're the first civilization we found that's different but equal. That's why this meeting is so important, Li Jin said. We can learn from each other, trade with each other, but only if the Empire accepts that Earth won't be conquered. The Empire officials looked at each other. Then Minister Tala did something surprising. She stood up and bowed to the Earth representatives. On behalf of the Empire's Council, I admit we were wrong about Earth, she said. We thought we were superior. Instead, we found equals who could teach us new things. Handai and Li Jin stood and bowed back. It was a moment of real respect between two very different civilizations. Now, Minister Tala said, sitting back down with a smile, tell us more about how you decoded our messages. And in return, we'll tell you how our faster-than-light drives work. For the next several hours, scientists and diplomats from two worlds shared their knowledge freely. They were no longer enemies planning for war, but equals learning from each other. Outside the space station, Earth and the Empire's ships floated peacefully in space. It was the beginning of something new, a partnership that would change both civilizations forever. 1 month after the space station meeting, the Grand Hall of the United Nations was filled with people from two worlds. Commander Kang Mai stood at the podium, wearing her formal uniform with new symbols that showed her role as Earth's first ambassador to the Galactic Council. Today marks a new chapter in human history, she said, looking at the mixed audience of humans and Empire representatives. We gather not as conquerors and conquered, but as equals. On one side of the stage, Dr. Handai and Dr. Kim Soo sat with their research teams. Their quantum technology had already been improved by sharing knowledge with Empire scientists. On the other side, Minister Tala represented the Empire, looking much more relaxed than she had during their first meetings. The agreement we signed today is simple, Kang Mei continued. Earth remains free and independent. We will not be integrated into the Empire. Instead, we will be allies. Li Jin, now Earth's chief diplomatic officer, stood up and read from the official document. The Empire recognizes Earth as a sovereign civilization with unique and valuable technological achievements. Both sides agree to share scientific knowledge, establish trade routes, and respect each other's borders. Park Yun watched from his seat, thinking about how much had changed. The secret lab under the DMZ was now a joint research center, where human and Empire scientists studied Earth's magnetic field together. Our differences made us stronger, Kang Mai said. The Empire taught us about space travel and alien cultures. We taught them new ways to use quantum science. Both sides learned that being different doesn't mean one is better than the other. Minister Tala stepped up to the podium next. The Empire has ruled many worlds, she said, but Earth showed us a better way. They proved that peace between equals is better than power over others. The agreement was displayed on huge screens around the hall. It was written in both human languages and the Empire's script. Everyone could see that the words gave both sides equal rights and responsibilities. As part of this agreement, Kang Mai announced, Earth will send teachers to help other worlds develop their own quantum science, and the Empire will help us build our first faster-than-light ships. Dr. Handa smiled as he remembered how it all started, with strange readings at his observatory. Now those same instruments were part of a network that connected Earth to worlds across the galaxy. But most importantly, Li Jin added, both Earth and the Empire agree to protect weaker civilizations. No more forced integrations. No more conquests. We will help other worlds grow at their own pace. General Choi Won, sitting in the back of the hall, nodded with satisfaction. Earth's military forces were already training with Empire ships, learning to work together as allies instead of enemies. The signing ceremony began. One by one, leaders from Earth and the Empire stepped forward to put their names on the agreement. Each signature represented a promise to maintain peace between their worlds. Let this be remembered, Kang Mai said as the last signature was added, as the day when humanity proved that wisdom is greater than weapons and understanding is stronger than fear. The hall erupted in applause. Humans and Empire citizens stood together, celebrating not just peace, but a new kind of relationship between civilizations. Later that evening, as Earth's lights glowed below and Empire ships twinkled above, Dr. Handa stood with his old friends, Kim Soo, Li Jin, Park Yun, and Commander Kang Mai. Did you ever think it would end like this? Li Jin asked. When we first saw their ships. No, Kang Mai answered with a smile. We thought we were preparing for war. Instead, we found a way to make the whole galaxy better. They looked up at the stars, knowing that Earth was no longer alone. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and turned it into its greatest opportunity. They had shown the Empire, and themselves, that Earth's real strength wasn't in its weapons or defenses. It was in its people's ability to turn enemies into friends and threats into chances for growth.